Sorry, though.
No, you're fine.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Films in Black and White.
Hello, everybody.
How are you all feeling? We are excited to be with you this fine evening to talk about a movie. We're going to talk about a movie this week.
We are.
And before we get into the rest of the podcast, and before I introduce everybody, I want to lay out the stakes of this particular episode.
Stakes.
We could go either way on this movie. I'm going to start there. So you two, based on our chat and where things at, I think the two of you are going to be playing one side or the other, and I will render my final decision at the end of this.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of how I'm feeling about it this week.
Fair.
It's because
I, for one, will say that this movie was a jam.
oh god damn it!
Welcome to the jam. Come on and slam.
I know. Come on and slam.
Welcome to the
jam.
Welcome
man.
to it.
It's a
Well, you
space
hear
jam.
my guests, and so I'm just going to spare no more time and introduce them. I'm going to kick it on down to a one, Brian Roush. Brian Roush, how you feeling?
I am feeling great today, everybody. I'm currently writing all my notes about Space Jam because this movie, I don't know. There's so much happening and not happening, and I'm so excited to talk about it.
there's
And I'm
a
so
lot.
happy it just came with HBO Max. I'm thankful for a lot right now. That's how I am. I'm thankful.
Brian's
Well,
got my Black Widow energy, and I think I like it.
It's nice that it goes both ways, that it's
Yeah.
not just one way or the
Look,
other.
It'd be boring if we all had the same opinion.
sure.
I
Very
don't think
true.
we do this time around.
For sure.
We all remember the early days of this podcast when Marcus and I would spend an hour and a half going,
High-fiving
yep,
each
well,
other.
I agree. Like,
Oh, Doug, you got
basically
great. No, Doug, you got great taste. Marcus, you got great taste.
You have great taste.
We
Yep.
are refined gentlemen.
I'm going to kick it on over to a one, Marcus J. Destin. Marcus, how you feeling?
What up? I'm good. I'm here. It's a Monday. Y'all don't know that because movie magic, but we
Movie
here. It's
magic.
beginning of the week, and I'm happy to be here.
That is fantastic. We are glad that you are here. Gentlemen, I am doing well as
How are you,
well.
Doug?
I didn't know what to do. It was awkward. But we're just
I
going to leave it
was
there.
writing down things about Michael Jordan. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I'm doing well. It's a great Monday. And so, yeah, it was a good weekend and things are doing well. Gentlemen, we are back as a trio, as
Yes, we are.
as a thruple, as I feel confident
us.
saying.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. Marcus is doing the long division in his head.
Tequila
We are back.
Wakili would be proud.
He's always happy with that. But we got to settle some score, and we got to get ourselves to catch that quotable. For those of you who are joining us, this is the segment where we quiz each other on a quote from a movie, see who can promptly get it wrong, and then go from there. If you all need an update on the scoreboard,
It's been a while.
Oh, hey.
this is where we're at. So
I'm in the
Brian
lead.
continues to hold the lead. I trail Marcus by one measly point, and Marcus is kind of in between us. So that is kind of where things are at. So I'm going to kick it on down to a one, Brian Roush,
Hello.
to say, Brian, how would you like this week's show to go? Do you want to pick somebody to go, or would you like to go yourself?
I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna kick it off.
Yeah,
Okay,
get,
Brian.
get it off, Brian.
Set
All
that
right.
motherfucking tone.
I love
Yeah.
it. The quote, gentlemen, from me tonight, or whenever you're listening to this, is knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Marcus got it. There it is.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right. Well, there you
Well,
have it.
all right.
First, I want to thank God, and then I want to thank my mom and my dad. Without them, none of this is possible.
I just want to make a really quick note. I was like, I'm gonna get one from G.I. Joe because Snake Eyes is coming up, and I looked at all this dialogue on IMDb. It is so flat. Like there is almost nothing about this that like makes it
There's
unique.
a reason I
Like,
walked out.
I mean, like literally the quotes around this one are, I thought you special ops guys were supposed to be tough. And when our master was killed, you took a vow of silence. And it's like
it's the literal dialogue of the scene with no emotion.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to pick something out of here, and I was like, this is all so generic. So way to go, Marcus. I
Look at
nailed
you.
it.
Thank you.
Look
Well,
at
you
that.
know why it was so flat? They wrote that around Channing Tatum. So they had to downplay the writing to match his
Oh.
acting.
All right, everybody.
Oh,
2
man.
syllable words.
Yeah,
2-syllable
everybody
words.
keep it
Bang.
short, simple. Even when he called out for his ex, Anna, and it was like that. I wasn't even convinced that y'all knew each other. It was just awkward as hell.
Just shouting a random name. Anna?
Yeah,
Beth?
Ooh. And
Julie?
3 people turn around. What the hell? Going
Our
on
Magic
there?
Mike fans are gonna be tweeting
Yeah,
at
Yes.
us.
come at it.
Probably.
Come at
It
it.
is.
Magic
And
But
Gimmick
Mar-
fans.
Marcus, since you did this, why don't you take it? Let's go for it. Why don't you do your
Okay.
quote?
Yeah.
I can do that a lot. Gentlemen,
Wow.
and everyone listening, here we go. I try to live in the now where the ghost of old wrongs do not abide. One more
Oh.
time. I try to live in the now where the ghost of old wrongs do not abide.
Oh my goodness. I am completely lost. It does. I don't know if it's one of those that could go either way. Like it's either a comedy or it's not. So
No,
okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a comedy. This feels like a drama, maybe really cheesy action. Like you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
This
probably
all
right.
in the past type
Yeah,
thing.
some grizzled veteran is lecturing a rookie. Yep.
Right.
It's always a grizzle veteran.
Always.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus, we
Yeah.
are gonna slap that hint button. So what do
Yeah.
you got for us?
Slap it.
Invisible.
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 Okay, I'm gonna give you my guess.
Yeah, hit me.
Marcus, is this The Sixth Sense?
It is not The Sixth Sense. Great guess. Great guess.
Yeah.
Ghost. I see where you were going with that.
See where I was going with that?
I saw
Yeah.
where you were going with that for
Yeah.
sure.
Plus, you said invisible. I was like, well, you can't see a ghost, so
Yeah.
This isn't the Invisible Man.
It is not The
All
Invisible
right.
Man. I also see where you were going with the hint
Man,
all right.
Invisible. Gentlemen, this movie is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
God damn it!
Yes,
All
and that
right.
was
Yep.
said by
Good job.
Captain Nemo.
Good.
Captain Nemo.
I did say
Well,
cheesy action movie, Doug.
It was-
did
you
say
and you hit it
you
right
were-
on the nose.
You were right on.
You were
were
right on the nose.
absolutely right.
That was the
on.
movie that was like the Avengers, but if the Avengers could only be like public domain characters.
Yep.
That was exactly it.
Yep.
It was Sean Connery
Oh my
who
God.
Yep.
got a curse put on him that he would only live forever if he stayed in Africa, and his superpower was being able to shoot anything down
Yes.
and living
Like
forever.
being an expert hunter. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It was
Yep.
honestly, it's a good movie to rewatch to see like how corny it was because they
Yeah.
had Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde,
Yep.
vampires. Captain Nemo was literally named after the book.
Oh yeah, 20,000
Right.
Leagues Under the Sea.
Yes, so like all of
And-
this, but it's based in
Yeah.
like the London in the 70s, 60s, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
cars, 50s. I think even beyond that.
Yeah. It's kind
Yeah.
of all over the place. And I remember Dr.
Some-
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I remember Mr. Hyde looked like a tank from Left 4
Yes.
Dead. Like
He
it was
was
just
like,
all like huge
Yeah,
and
yeah.
running all over the
Yeah.
place.
He had like
Um,
Tyrannosaurus
Tom
Rex.
Sawyer. Isn't
Wasn't
like a
looking-
Tom Sawyer like character
Yes,
in there
yes.
too?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
This is all over the place. Well, good movie, good quote.
Yep,
thank you.
Way to
Yep.
stump us. Good work.
Yeah, excellent.
Gentlemen, my quote for this week
Yes.
is she's gonna be fine. Tattooed kid on a motorcycle. Actually, she might already be pregnant.
Oh shit.
She's gonna be fine. Tattooed kid on a motorcycle. Actually, she might already be pregnant.
Okay.
This
Is this
feels
a
like a
cartoon?
comedy.
Yeah, feels like a comedy. Is it a cartoon comedy or is it a live action comedy?
I feel like it's like a live action in the vein of like I don't know of it's not Will Ferrell, but it's Will Ferrell adjacent. If that makes any sense.
Oh,
see
that
that.
absolutely makes sense.
First thing I thought was like Juno. Second thing I thought was the one where Seth Rogen and they have the parties next door. Like that's the
Oh.
comedy styling I'm thinking of. That's kind of
Neighbor.
the vein
It's
I'm
just
in.
Neighbors.
Yeah, I
I'm
think it's
pretty
just
sure.
Neighbors. Yeah,
Dang.
Would you like a hint?
Yes.
yeah. Let me slap it.
Your hint is RV.
Oh, this is Robin Williams RV.
It is not. That's a
Oh
good
my
guess. We went with
gosh.
it, but that is not the movie.
Okay, it's not Robin Williams.
It's not.
You're telling me there's an RV
I'm
involved?
telling you, there is an RV involved.
Oh man, this is awful.
Oh,
I mean, I'm trying to think of like other RV road trip movies, and I'm totally blanking. This isn't Road Trip, right?
It is not Road Trip.
All right.
I see where you were going with that.
Interesting. That was good,
Gentlemen,
Brian.
this is the 2013 comedy We're the Millers with Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston.
Where they drive that little blue car with
Have you
the
never
drive
seen
the
this
RV
movie?
back from Mexico with a bunch of marijuana in it. And my inspiration for this was Catherine Hahn, because Catherine Hahn is in this.
Is she
in a
really?
comedic role. She is. So
Oh, isn't that the one where they were like a fake family?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's right.
they're a
And the
fake
guy with the
family.
eyebrows and kissing, no regrets.
No regrets. Yep.
Yeah,
No regrets. Not even one letter. Yep, that's
Yeah.
where it is. Yep.
Perfect.
So-
that was great, dude. Great.
That was a
Oh.
good. That was a good one. That was a good one.
round of Catch That Quotable all around. And Marcus, you inch yourself closer, just as a reminder of the scoreboard.
Yeah.
You inch yourself closer to striking distance for Brian.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
you know, if you go on a run, you may.
It's coming.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Sorry,
I
y'all, we
gotta,
can't.
I gotta up my game from like GI Joe here. I gotta like do an
Brian, you
Oscar
kind of gave it to me
award-winning
right
movie.
off. I'd be
Yeah.
mad if I didn't get it. Sorry, we can't update those scores in real time, y'all. We don't have that kind of technology.
We do not. But we can show
But if
can
you
do
join
the
our
math.
Patreon, we
Yes.
can get there.
We
So
can get
make
there.
sure to join our Patreon.
Brian,
There you go,
right,
Brian. $1 million
Brian.
podcast. We have the technology.
Gentlemen, speaking of going on a run,
Yeah.
let's talk about Space Jam:
Mm,
A New Legacy.
yeah.
Let's
so,
do that.
full disclosure, Marcus and I continued our trend of seeing
hold
this
on.
in the theater.
Hold on. Brian, would you like to give a spoilers warning?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Hey, folks, if you're new to the podcast, we're going to spoil this. We're going to talk about the whole movie. And if you are a regular listener, you know we're going to get into every nitty gritty thing.
Especially with this one. We're going to
We
get
have
into
to
it.
because it's not us if we don't.
That's very true. But we continued our trend of seeing this in the theater, but
Yeah.
we brought Harrison with, so I
my
can
guy.
provide a 4-year-old's perspective on whether or not this movie was good or not. So there's that. But Brian, how did you consume this particular movie?
Well, we watched this at home on Saturday. Not that matters, but yeah, we watched this on our HBO Max account on our TV in our living room, and it was wonderful.
That's
That's
fantastic.
kind of clutch, though. I mean, the more and more the year goes along, and the more and more this experience or this option exists of staying at home or going to go see it,
Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot more because there are moments where you're like, I don't have time to make it to a theater.
Right.
For whatever reason that may be. And like just having that option of being able to watch it at home. I don't know how long they'll do this, but it's a good option.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting too, like we can post this in the chat. Brian, you shared an article today about the kind of the finances of this.
Oh man.
We can share that on our Twitter and on our Facebook pages because it's an interesting read of how much people collect from what. We, Marcus, we're not the only folks who saw this in the theater, because Space Jam to date, based on box office numbers that came out today, made $31 million.
It did. Give LeBron another ring.
So there you go. I don't know what that means for anything. Marcus, would you care to give us a barbershop summary for this particular movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so what had happened was you get this recreation or a sequel or a reboot, whatever, however you want to view it. I don't really know what it is. It kind of floats in between those lanes, but you have the classic Space Jam and you have Space Jam. What's it? Space Jam Legacy?
Yes.
Space Jam,
a new legacy.
New legacy. That's right. I forget what you call it. I just call it Space Jam. So here's what had happened, right? You get another reason to beef Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, basically.
That's
okay.
true.
Because you have the original movie Space Jam that came out a long time ago. Don't give me the exact time. It came out a long time ago. Michael Jordan went down, had to go save Bugs and them in the Toonie Land to beat the Monstars. Okay. And they had to go beat the Monstars so they can save themselves from being kidnapped and being put on the planet. That was essentially the plot line of that movie. This movie really follows not so much the Looney Tunes. What they do is they follow LeBron. Okay.
Yes.
And LeBron is a dad that's very strict and really serious about basketball. And he really wants his kids to play basketball and to be great. And so he doesn't let he's not really supporting his kid, not deliberately, but he wants his kid to play some basketball, to learn the rules, not to quit, don't be a quitter, all that kind of stuff like that. But ain't really supporting his kid dream. Okay. He's not really supporting his kid's video game dream. So the kid has made this badass video game in his room. I don't know how he got that technology, but we'll call it privilege, Beverly Hills privilege or whatever. He got this advanced technology, made it in his room. He's also got advanced CIA technology to scan people into his damn phone that they never even address. But whatever. So basically what happens is LeBron goes in and hears this fire ass idea from Warner Brothers, first time for everything. So they hear this fire ass idea from Warner Brothers, and Don Cheadle, who is Algorithm or the algorithm, is on there, and he's telling people like, LeBron, we could scan you into any movie, you could be anything, like blah 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 blah. LeBron forcibly says, no, this idea is whack. I was like, in real life, he'd be like, no, let's do that shit tomorrow. Like, come on now. But then so basically he insults Algorithm. Algorithm gets pissed. He then goes and like he's got to take it because Al is like, I want my time in the sun. So he wants LeBron James to help him. LeBron says no. He then goes for the kid who knows what he's talking about. He kidnaps them both and takes them into what is called the Snyderverse. Kidding. It's called the Warner. What's it called?
The Serververse.
Called the Serververse.
The Serververse. He takes them into the Serververse, where basically this is where WB flexes and puts their balls on the table and tells you everything that they fucking own. So they go and they show you every single movie, property, universe, whatever it is that HBO owns. That Warner Brothers own. They put it right in this movie. Okay, and so they have to essentially play this game for LeBron to get his son back from Algorithm. Algorithm turns his son against LeBron. Okay, and so but the kid is being manipulated, and if Algie wins, everybody gets to stay inside of the Snyderverse, and if he loses, then everybody gets to be free and doesn't have to stay inside of the locked vault inside of this little verse thing. And so like basically that's the whole thing. It's a mix of technology, family support, love for the new Space Jam for a new generation.
That's you know what, you got it, you nailed it. That's pretty much it. And you were able to follow all of the bizarre like subplots of this movie, because there's this main thread that's going through, and much like the multiverse, it just kind of like branches off from there, and nobody's pruning shit.
Nobody's pruning shit. I'll be honest with you, as I was explaining that in all seriousness, I realized that it's a lot in that movie at once, because Bugs Bunny has his own plot, own plot line. LeBron's son has his, LeBron has his, even LeBron's wife kind of has theirs. So it's LeBron's manager. Everybody has this plot line and trying to lead back to this central message of the movie. And honestly, it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, you are absolutely right. It is a lot to keep track of. Gentlemen, though, I do want to start us off on a good foot, and just for our listeners, we are going to try and move away from this formal good, bad, ugly, and just try to kick it and just have a much more natural flowing conversation. So, but we do need to start somewhere, and this is the natural starting point of what did we like? Like, as we're sitting here and we're kind of experiencing this, whether it's at home or in the theater, what are some things that jumped out that you enjoyed? Marcus?
Look at Brian. I like the role that Brian is playing this week. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is pleasing my soul. I do like Brian being like, I'm gonna tear this shit apart. And honestly, I'm not.
I just have some questions. That's all I have.
That's usually what people who are good at nitpicking shit say. Oh no, I just have some. I just need to analyze this and just kind of poke some holes in it. That's what Doug used to say to me.
I mean, I'm channeling some like young college debate coach energy here, so that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Bad. It's just
it's not great.
There's some things that may be problematic, but I want to ask some questions first.
Yeah. What I'll say is, what did I like about it? Context is very important. So I'm going to start right. If we're just in a natural conversation, context is important. The way that I digested this movie, I digested it with one of my best friends and his son, right? And so this movie also reflected, it was kind of like what was happening on screen and then witnessing what was happening over here. Like they're telling Harrison, I love you, buddy, giving him hugs, like they're enjoying this movie. So for me, seeing that on the screen and then this happening on the side, I think it gave me a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And I do think we should start looking at the context of where we, context is super important on how we're digesting this stuff. What's going on around us? What is the environment? Going to a movie and seeing this, if I was at home, I guarantee I wouldn't have liked it.
That's fair.
I guarantee it. But I think the message of the movie, along with what was happening in my environment, what I liked was the message. I enjoyed the idea and the reflection of this new idea. You have 3 black leads.
Yes,
that's very true.
Yes, I was gonna. Go ahead.
Young, old, and middle-aged. So, and they were just having conversations how they say internationally, movies like this with black leads on sale. That's what they said about a lot of different movies in the past. And like Independence Day being the main one that was on the timeline a while ago.
Yeah.
They told Will Smith as a black lead it wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
And so you see this movie, you have LeBron who's well known, you have his son, and you have Don fucking Cheadle carrying this movie on
his back has gotta be sore because he put this thing on his back.
Sore. Like he needs an ice bath right after that. So what I enjoyed was the message of this movie, the reflection of a good, healthy, naturally, it's trauma. It's not trauma. It has its bumpy roads, but it's natural bumpy roads. The relationship between LeBron and his son and trying to understand his son better instead of it being based in trauma and toxic and impossible shit to get over. So that's where I'll start. That's what I enjoyed the most.
Fair.
Actually, I want to jump in real quick. I agree with you, Marcus. And I'm really glad you brought it up. The folks in this movie, the lead, the son, even the antagonist, everybody they're black. It is not. They don't even I don't know. They don't even highlight it. It just is. And you don't see that a lot. And I do feel like that should be celebrated. And I feel like the other thing too here is the family portion of it. Yes, is it? Will it challenge you? No. Is it a good message though? Absolutely. And I'm never ever gonna hate on something that does have a good message because LeBron does play this stereotypical you gotta practice, man. And his son's like, but dad, I don't want to. And he's like, oh, you're making video games. And at first I was really worried because I was like, oh, if this movie's video games are bad. By the way, we will talk about that Game Boy later. But
I have some thoughts on that fucking Game Boy.
But I really liked, even though it was super predictable, I did enjoy LeBron using his dad energy of being nah, man, if this is what makes you happy, I'm gonna support you. And that's awesome. That's what dads should do. And it doesn't matter if you're telling your kid to practice basketball or you defeated Don Cheadle in a game of basketball in a video game. After all of it, you're there to support your kid, and that's awesome. And I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought the messaging on it was really, really cool. And I appreciate the fact that it's almost like they kind of they did the 8 Mile thing with this, where it's I'm gonna make a joke about this being about there being black leads in the movie, so no one else can say anything because we're gonna recognize it and say it's something that's such not a big deal. We can kind of make fun of it and kind of move on. So I thought that was really cool that they did that. I appreciate the message 100%, and just to kind of boost what you all are saying of this idea of even though there's friction in a family, you can still not want, you know what I mean? Even if there's friction and even if there's tension, understanding is the way that you kind of, you heal that. And I appreciate that chase throughout the whole thing of it's not the stereotypical sports dad where he's looking for a pseudo son when his son's not there, because that's the sports. I mean, sports dad movie is Johnny just doesn't get football, and Rick's disappointed. All until Bobby comes along, and Bobby's a star athlete, and it's about how Jimmy's trying to get his dad to pay attention to him, and it's a whole stupid trope that we can deal without. I appreciated the fact of I love my son. I need to find and rescue my son. That's it. It's not I'm looking for someone to substitute my son from the Looney Tunes. It's nope. I need to get my son back. The other thing that I really liked about this is I grew up with Looney Tunes. Like so fun fact about Joe Wagner, this might be a little bit of surprise. My dad would watch a Looney Tunes short, and then he would, as the credits roll at the end of the short, he'd be like, "Oh shit, the animator was this guy. He was great." And I'm like, "How the fuck do you know this?"
What?
Like, out of nowhere, like he knew which cartoon was a Bugs because of who was on the end title card.
Wow.
It's one of those things that I never understood how he was able to place those, but he did. And there was some real like Looney Tunes style comedy in this that I appreciated. Like there were moments with them that I genuinely chuckled at. So so I thought that was kind of cool too. So that's what I also enjoyed about this.
Yeah.
Other things that you all enjoyed about this particular movie?
I enjoyed how Sarah Silverman and Stephen Yeun, I believe is his name.
Yeah, Walking Dead.
They played the WB execs in this movie, and like they have like maybe 10 seconds of screen time.
That's it.
But like they looked so inept, and it was just like this is like so you have like a chance for like a WB propaganda thing like right here. You have the ability to do it, and like you'd think they'd make them look amazing, right? Like we're WB, we know what's going on. Totally makes them look like they have
realistic.
No idea what they are doing, just none. And I enjoyed that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that tracks well. That tracks well. I feel like that is what WB board meetings look like.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I enjoyed the idea of this inside look to WB. And first of all, listing everything that you own and being able to put all that in the movie, this literally was just the biggest flex.
This
absolutely was.
It was like, okay, look at all, you can be Harry Potter. And I'm like, fuck, I forgot they own Harry Potter. And as I'm connecting the dots, like whatever's on HBO Max, Warner Brothers owns HBO Max, and that's their streaming service.
Yep.
So you're going down the list and you're like, oh my gosh, like you really do own, first of all, the OG Looney Tunes.
Yes.
And at its base, right? Let's say that's the oldest thing that they own that at its base. You're seeing me and Doug is like naming characters in the crowd at the end of the basketball scene, and like they have the OG Batman, OG Joker, new Batman, new Joker. Like it's a terrible Mr. Freeze.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze is supposed to be in there.
Very distracting.
That makeup was terrible.
I don't know.
Then
how
you forget
that
was
point.
his actual makeup in the movie, but that's for another podcast.
It wasn't even that bad. At least he sparkled a little bit in the Batman and Robin. This guy just had on light blue makeup with blue dots on him, and then they put him in the main camera. I don't know how that happened.
We'll talk about more about that. I don't want to interrupt your flow.
Yeah, but no, I think I enjoyed the fact of looking and seeing how much they own. It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I enjoyed one of my favorite scenes. We're going to get into a little bit of particulars here. One of my favorite scenes was the animated Superman. I enjoyed that entire moment. That was because you say, he writes Superman on the board. Lord knows what variation of Superman you're going to get on the screen. I was not expecting Henry Cavill to fly in here and be on, you know what I mean, be in this movie.
Yeah,
right.
But, it said something going to the OG animated Superman, and it just looking good in this time period, it making sense. Like they could remake that show right now, and it would just make the most sense to me. So that was one scene that stood out to me the most.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Doug.
I was going to say that's what I think that was such a good choice of saying we could go into like Christopher Nolan's Gotham and do it that way. But they were like, nope, the Looney Tunes are animated. This makes sense.
Yeah.
This is where they would be. Daffy Duck wouldn't be there because he wouldn't be able to blend in as much. So I appreciate that they kind of thought that shit out and made it fit. So yeah, 100%.
Well, and I think the other thing too, kind of underscores like I misunderstood who this movie was for until like halfway through, and Maggie was like, Brian, this movie isn't like, yes, like kids will enjoy it, but it's not for them. It's for like people like you. This is because now that you're saying that, you're right. They could have done like if they were trying to make it for like people, like if they're trying to aim for people like in the past 10 years, you're using all of the Snyderverse stuff. Like you're using Gal Gadot and everybody in between. But the fact that they're doing Bruce Timm animation, I don't even know I don't even know where it's syndicated, to be completely honest with you. Like, I don't even know where you would even flip on your cable box if you still have cable, like to even find those. Like, I think they're all streaming on HBO Max, of course.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah, but like that animation style, I haven't seen that in 20 years.
No, and it still holds up too. Like it's still legit.
Yeah. I take it back. It's been sooner than that. I rewatched, but like it's been a while.
You can go to just to answer. Oh my God!
You asked.
Look at the skin. That's better. That's better than what was on the thing.
Looks about a horse apiece to me.
I'll tell you what looks like horseshit. His eyes.
Like, listeners, I need you to know that Doug has pulled up an official promo image of Batman and Robin of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the
look at his henchman too. Look at his fucking henchman in the
This is also one of my guilty pleasure movies, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's one I can go back and rewatch. I can't lie to you.
I
George
agree.
Clooney was the best Batman in my eyes for a long time because that was the first Batman movie that I watched. It was the only Batman movie I knew.
Well, George Clooney, if you're listening, I know you've said you thought you ruined the franchise at one point. Marcus loves you. Come on down.
Rubber nipples and all.
Batman and Robin has a lot of good memories. Come on the podcast. We'll talk about it.
I'd like to talk to Coolio about his role in Batman and Robin.
I like that. He was racing motorcycles and stuff. And
that's right. I totally forgot about that.
Because he was on the soundtrack, and of course they had to give him a role in gritty Gotham.
For sure.
Yeah, so it was good.
Anyway, I didn't want to derail us, but
what I was saying was, Brian, you can watch that. I think you can watch that on Boomerang. That style. I think you can watch it along with like the newer, older Justice League animated stuff. I think it's on there.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know, that was such a treat for me, and like that it kind of proves the point that the movie was totally made for our like demographic, right? Just like, hey, you remember like the old Batman and Superman animated series? Well, Daffy Duck's here and LeBron's gotta go there. Like, that was fun.
I also appreciated that they didn't. I do think that what I liked about LeBron, and I think he wasn't unwilling. He didn't go to the animators when they drew him into that and be like, "Nah, man, you got to give me pants." They were like, "Nope, that's how you would have drawn. That's how like Robin was drawn. That's how he would have looked. He's wearing the green underpants, and that's it." Because I remember in the middle of the movie, I go, "That guy's not wearing pants."
He did.
And Marcus is like, "Yeah, because Robin didn't wear pants. That's how
he didn't."
And we were just kind of all right, well, move on.
Yeah,
but I do appreciate that he was willing to be the butt of some jokes, and I feel like Michael probably wouldn't have been as willing.
I agree
to do that. So,
no, I feel like it's really important to talk about like how LeBron. I feel like. I don't know. I feel like he did a lot with this movie in that respect.
Yes.
Like they poked a lot of fun at him. Like they even made a joke about him. Like, are you going to leave the Lakers too? And if you don't know basketball, like LeBron has changed teams a few times,
just a handful of times,
just a couple.
And I just
people
I don't
took
know.
It really well.
I enjoyed it. He was cool with it. Like, and there was something else that it escapes me at the moment, but like. LeBron seemed totally comfortable with that. And he was like, yeah, it's a movie. Like, yeah, like poke fun at me. It's fine. It's a movie. Like, I don't know. I enjoyed that. That came through for me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's something about the awareness of a human playing, a person playing a character, right? LeBron didn't go into this trying to top, which he does in his regular basketball career.
Right.
He's not going into this to top Michael Jordan. He's going into this to just be. He knew what pressures came with doing this movie in this franchise in this universe, because this has been his comparison his whole life. It's Michael Jordan versus LeBron, and I think he went into it and he made it. LeBron's family in the movie, if you look up his real family, they are modeled after his real family.
Yes.
So like almost down to the T, like how they look, the skin complexions. I appreciated all of that kind of stuff because you see, it's LeBron. We were in the movies and the credits were going right, like the explanation of who LeBron James is, right? So they're giving his full credits. I was like, I was like, is this movie about LeBron James just patting himself on the back? And so like we go through and I'm like, I bet they won't talk about that time he switched teams. And Doug was like, oh no, they're not gonna do that. And then they showed the scene where he switched scenes.
I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
And I was like, oh my God. And then Doug says another thing. He's like, I bet they won't show this part of his life in the thing. And that thing responded immediately and was like, here it goes again. So I was like, they covered everything. Yeah. And I think I appreciated that a lot. Just to piggyback off Brian.
Yeah. And I mean, LeBron James is listed as a producer for this movie. Yeah. So he had some input in like how this was supposed to go. And so instead of rewriting it or only showing the parts that he thought people wanted to see, I do appreciate that whole sense of like, I've lived my life on display. Yeah. People can pull out their phone and Google the history if they want to. I'm not going to do that. So I thought that was I thought that was really cool that he kept it 100.
It's just such a sharp contrast too, because I also just finished watching The Last Dance, and you're like, oh, Michael Jordan, I'm going to learn everything about you, and then you do, and you're like,
maybe I didn't want to know everything about Michael Jordan.
Like, are you not an okay person? Like, oh no. And then you see something like this, and then you compare it, and it's like, was the first Looney Tunes just like Michael Jordan being like, hey, I'm Michael Jordan, I'm in the movie? Like, was that it? Was that it for him? Whereas LeBron, it actually kind of just, I don't know. For me, it just felt like he was like, yeah, we're in a movie and we're going to do the thing. It's going to be fun. Whereas Michael Jordan's like, this is going to be my movie. We're going to do this.
There's going to be real basketball in this movie. Because while this is all being shot via green screen, I'm going to be in a court in the middle of LA playing my friends for like 12 hours a day. It's like, fucking relax, man. Like, it's just basketball.
As he's taking bets, because we all know him and those bets.
Yeah. He took a lot of, I mean, that's, there's a moment after watching The Last Dance where you're like, I don't know if I should look up to Michael Jordan anymore.
I feel like, yes, 100%. Like, I get you're a human, like, and you never asked for it, but you're just kind of like, is Michael Jordan not maybe the best role model?
Well, then they're like, oh, it's just competitive edge, and that's what you're supposed. If you're listening to like Skip Bayless and like, he just got that killer instinct. It was like, or he's just an asshole.
Remember when he just straight up punched a teammate?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and everybody's like, no, that's what you're supposed to be on the team. No, you fuckers have never played a game of basketball or team organized sports ever in your life.
Here's what I'm going to just say. Last thing about The Last Dance. Thank you for tuning into a review of The Last Dance. Is like, if I'm on a team with somebody and they're like, man, I'm mad at this guy. I'm like, yeah, let's be mad and win this game. And then like after the game, you're like, what were you mad at that guy about? And he just looked at you like, I made it up. I made all of it up. He didn't do anything. I just needed to get mad. And you're just kind of like, excuse me, what?
So he didn't do a damn thing. I took
that personally. I took that personally. What'd you take? He didn't say shit to you. Like, you just like, you didn't say anything personally. And I took that personally. Yeah, in the movie, in your fucking head.
Mike was a monster. You're definitely right. That's how he went into the Looney Tunes. He definitely went. Because if you think about it, the original Space Jam is like, we need Michael. He's the best ever in the game. This one was more like accidentally like, oh, we've got LeBron needed the Looney Tunes.
That's a great point.
It's an opposite switch. So it's a completely different movie.
Now, here's what I'll say. I appreciated this like symbiotic relationship between LeBron James and Bugs Bunny. I didn't fucking need the complicated factors of Bugs Bunny's storyline. Like I appreciated it. I appreciated it, but it's just it complicated the pot. Like it gave them a reason to leave the Looney Tunes land, right? Like it, you know, and this all felt very like anybody who's played Kingdom Hearts, where each movie has its own world. This felt very like Kingdom Heartsy.
Yeah, that was amazing. That game is that game. Thank you. That game was amazing though. That Chris, hold on. Let's don't forget your thought. Grab it real quick.
Here's what I got. I realized that was the plot device to get them off of Looney Tunes world and to go over to like Matrix world and all these other worlds. But it just, there was a part of me that was like, this seems like a lot for us to have to keep coming back to. And they never really revisit it. He was like, I got to get my friends back. Well, got him back.
And he was happy. I do agree. Just kind of leaning into some of the things that maybe didn't work. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a lot of loose ends. There's a lot of loose ends. You have you have Bugs Bunny gets his friends back. And there was never any resolution like, oh, I missed you. There wasn't like he did us wrong, he did us dirty. You just kind of show up in Superman's world and Daffy Duck is filming this thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So there wasn't like he did us wrong, he left us behind. At least I don't remember a line saying, hey, he did us dirty. This is how we all got split up.
The only line is Bugs Bunny is telling LeBron, he's saying, yeah, and then Algae Rhythm comes up and tells all my friends that they can do so much bigger and better things, and they're limiting themselves to this world, so they all left, and Bugs was the only one who stayed behind.
Yeah.
And then, but at the end, one of the stakes for the movie is Algae Rhythm's like, yeah, and then I'm gonna cancel all you fuckers. Like, wait, either they're not meeting their potential and they should go do other things, or he literally calls them the rejects. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and delete the rejects. Either they're rejects or they're untapped potential. Ooh, what are we playing with here?
I will also say that the Snyderverse would never delete. It will never ever delete the Looney Tunes.
Do you mean the Serververse?
Well, whatever, same thing. Tomato.
There's a Snyderverse in the Serververse, 100%.
And you see, they didn't show it. And you bad fuckers, y'all know the Snyderverse exists in there, okay? And I know what y'all are doing, and I know. And this is the point I wanted to make real quick, gentlemen. I feel like, seriously, this is how I seriously feel. Not just to be on the Snyderverse soapbox, but I do feel like this movie kind of felt like when you're scraping your plate when you're full, like when you're trying to just start over, right? It feels like WB did this as a clean slate to say, look what we can do. Okay, now that you've seen this, watch everything we do afterwards, because we know Flash is coming. We know all this. I feel like this is them trying to reinvent themselves as a reminder to look at all this cool stuff that we own. And this is going to be really cool once you see all this stuff come back in one form, like one way or another. For some reason, to me, it felt like they used this as some type of entrance into this new lane that they are trying to go into. And it's a quick reminder to people look at what we own for the new generation and the older generation.
There's something for everybody in the Serververse.
Right. I agree, and I feel like this is a really good time to talk about. We will go to Don Cheadle here in a second, because Don Cheadle, by the way, super enjoyable. And I'm just gonna do this. Don Cheadle is just acting the hell out of anything they're giving him in probably some hellish, badly ventilated green screen void, right? And he
put
does
on this
amazing.
sparkle suit and stand in this room in front of these screens for 4 hours,
right?
a day.
Like that's the schedule. Like he's like, what's the shooting schedule? Okay, so the green box, you're gonna stand there for today. No, the whole week, just the whole week. Don, you're just gonna read these lines,
right?
And he's probably like, no, and they're like, yep, okay, well, we're gonna start, and you need to be mad at LeBron James, and that's what he did.
And his kid.
Yes, his kid. And he just sold it. Like the man has never given a bad performance. Like what does this man need to do to get more accolades?
For an Emmy for it.
Honestly, Don Cheadle, I feel like Don Cheadle carried this movie. One of the things that aggravated me leading back into Don Cheadle was LeBron's acting. His dialogue. Although LeBron is not an actor, he's a basketball player, and he's been in some films, but he's been LeBron in those films. He hasn't been acting.
I don't know. This is what I expected. Maybe that's why I'm not I'm just acting is hard. I that's me. And when you put an athlete in there, it's not an actor.
I guess for me, it was the dialoge. I don't feel like LeBron is that type of dad to be like basketball.
No, that's the thing that I had a hard time reconciling what I thought I know of him in his public, based on what I've seen of him in his real life, public life, versus what I saw of him in his private life in a fake world of that. Right. Those two things, I was like, there's no way this guy growing up the way he did and knowing his backstory and knowing how close he was to his mom and to his family, there's no way he's telling his kids like, this is the only thing that matters. Like, there's no way that that's who he is as a person. So I just had a hard time with that. Can any of you explain to me? Love Don Cheadle. Can't say enough highly of him.
He's fantastic.
He did a great job. I've got to ask this question.
It starts with love and then it ends with a backhand.
Yep, that's exactly how I deal things. That's how we work here.
That's what's happening here.
Can either one of you explain to me how Warner Brothers 3000 makes money?
You mean the project proposal
that he had? How does that make money?
So the idea, as a recap for anyone that doesn't remember really small 2-minute sequences in blockbuster films, basically
like I do.
Basically the idea is they can scan LeBron in to any property. He can be in any property he wants. That's it.
So what's the fucking scheme here? I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones, but it's LeBron James.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
That sounds like a great way to lose money. Not a great way to make money.
I don't know why LeBron was a Hufflepuff.
By the way, my Harry Potter nerd, he is like a Slytherin, if anything. That man
holy hell.
He is driven, focused, like he is task centered. That man is a Slytherin, and Slytherins aren't necessarily bad. I'm just saying Hufflepuff didn't fit his vibe.
Do you think they made him take a BuzzFeed test before they scripted that in there? It was like, LeBron, take this test real quick and see what you get. It says Hufflepuff. Perfect. We'll take it from here. Like, what?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Or he was like, well, I could be a Gryffindor, and some writer was like, the fuck you can. Like,
there was somebody like me on the writing
back end.
Actually, the Gryffindors, you need to be a different
somebody, Michael would be a Gryffindor, but you, sir, are going to be a Hufflepuff. Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, and
if anybody's a Slytherin, it's Michael Jordan.
Actually,
I kept finding myself coming back to that whole fucking money making scheme, like periodically through the movie, because I'd ask this question of like, so like, could I pay to put myself in Game of Thrones? Is that what this is? Because if that's what it is, I get it. But they pitched it to LeBron James like he could just do whatever he wanted, and then Ali G had the like graphic of just money everywhere, and I was like, it's like, okay, part A. You put yourself in Game of Thrones. Part B, profit. What questions do you have? Like, I have a shitload of questions.
One could say there was a little feedback that needed to be given about their proposal. You know, maybe a few more slides in there about implementation. Now I see
why LeBron turned it down. He's like, there's no way you'd make money off of this.
You know what? Yeah, LeBron's absolutely right in that moment.
Makes sense. He looks like an asshole, but
the worst idea ever.
Yeah, he was like, this is terrible.
I would have taken 5 minutes of him being like, first off, you didn't explain who you were. I don't know who you are. Two, I don't understand how this makes money. Where's your revenue generation? You have no profit sharing at all. Right. Yeah, I would have done that for 5 minutes.
What are you going to invest in here?
Or you got the biggest star in the fucking basketball world and only 2 WB execs at the table in this big ass room.
Also, can we talk about how the WB exec gets a fucking like jazzed as shit when she gets an email from the algorithm? Like, she gets an email, she's like, oh fuck, the algorithm emailed me. That's not how that shit works at all.
I'm sorry, I just screamed into my microphone because it's like the most incredible self-own. Like, Jesus. You made this movie, WB, and you just pictured yourself like, we have no ideas. So there's someone like Sarah Silverman just sitting at her desk,
fuck, the algorithm
waiting for an algorithm to come up with something, which if you look at their slate, maybe they do.
Honestly, now that you said that, honestly, it makes sense that an algorithm hired fucking Josh Whedon and was
That's
like,
what I was just gonna say.
This guy would be perfect. And they're just, and WB's like,
it's an algorithm for success. And at the time, Josh Whedon was high off of Age of Ultron, so algorithm would absolutely make that recommendation. So sorry, Algae Rhythm, it's on you, bro.
Algae. So we're gonna cancel you, Algae, instead of canceling the president or people who hired you.
I'm gonna release a PR statement that says we forgive Joss because of how the algorithm put him in that negative situation. He was never going to succeed with his past.
No,
never.
No.
we're not going to put out any.
I'm joking. He's a bad man.
He is terrible, and fuck Josh Whedon. You know that.
Man.
You know the rules.
I was like, man, I get poking fun of yourself, but man, that just doesn't seem funny. It just felt like, yeah, this is what we do, and this is normal. And let's go talk to LeBron.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Other things about this movie that stood out to you all, good or bad, whatever you got?
The Matrix. Why?
Yeah,
why the Matrix? The last time we've seen anything Matrix related, it's been 20 years.
It's been a minute. Yeah,
right?
It's been a minute.
No, it hasn't been 20. They're
15?
doing the remake now.
I totally get that. And going back to your point, we talked about Don Cheadle and we just took a left turn, and that's fine. That's what we do here.
That's right.
Like this felt like a WB infomercial, which is fine. Like I get the concept. I'm choosing to spend my time this way. That's fine.
Yeah.
But like all of these Matrix references, that's when it started to click for me. Like, this isn't for my kid. My kid has no idea what Granny's doing and why it's significant. She's like doing Kung Fu Frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is for me, but I don't like this. Like, it was like this weird moment of like, you targeted this to me and I do not want it this way. Like, it was just a fever dream to me.
It also bugged me that there was two like Looney Tunes B characters.
Right.
Like, I would get it if it was like Sylvester was there doing slow motion because he's a prominent character in most of those like short cartoons. But you literally pulled a background character of a background character, and they're like, "That's the one we're going with." Also,
Gonzalez is
Gonzalez made me actively uncomfortable, but I laughed the hardest at the shit that he said.
Him jumping the bullets in the Matrix scene was hilarious. For whatever reason, to me, that is an actual. Here's the thing that got me. That's an actual scene from the Matrix.
Yes.
That they just put animated characters into. And I just thought that Speedy Gonzalez using his quickness in a Matrix world to jump the bullets, hilarious.
And also talking shit to the bullets as he's jumping up. Like, that was like delay. Like, I mean, thought that was fucking incredible.
I was laughing a lot, not for the reasons they wanted me to, but like I kept looking at Maggie like, what am I watching? Like, what is happening?
I did ask Marcus, like in the middle of the movie, I looked over, like, is the mouse racist? Like, it feels like the mouse is racist.
But I'm shocked they included him after taking out Pepe Le Pew.
Gabriel Iglesias plays Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh.
Yeah, the comedian. Brian's like disappointed. Like, he
whatever you want with that.
Do whatever you want with that.
I don't know how to feel. It was I don't know. That part was I was like, I know there's a fourth Matrix movie coming, but like, unless nobody under the age of like 15, 18 is going to know any of these Matrix references.
Also, what kid who's under the age of 15 watches Game of Thrones? Like, there's no way I'm sitting my like 8-year-old down being like, check this shit out, Red Wedding. Am I right? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm not gonna do that at all.
Yeah,
like,
another sign it was aimed like at us.
Oh like, this was targeted at us, hoping that like we would just explain it to our kids later, or to kind of feed into the infomercial of it. Is just like, look at all the stuff we own. Keep paying that subscription, so when they're old enough, you can fill them in, and you can all enjoy the serververse as well.
I.e., New Legacy, which is like it's legacy. New is one word. Legacy, they have it's a phrase for this when you combine two different words. So like you have new being it's for a new generation, and legacy being a word that is typically used for something classic. So like you combine these two together, and I guess that's how you do
a new history.
So I have a question for the two of you. When the game started, because this is the second half of the movie, we haven't even talked about the game yet. So
let's get into it, Brian.
So what was your understanding of Dom, LeBron's kid in the movie, of his understanding of like what was going on? Because do you think he understood that there were people held hostage in the serververse when he was playing?
No, because he couldn't see his mom when he got there. His mom was calling his name, and his brother was like, "I don't think he can hear you." But LeBron entered and immediately saw his wife. So to me, it was Dom. It was Al G hiding
Yeah.
Okay.
that from
That's
him
reasonable.
to manipulate
That's
him.
what I thought too.
That's what
I did not think
okay.
that I did not think that he was aware of the stakes of this movie.
Because he was smiling the whole time.
I spent the second half of this movie being like, Dom, you're holding all these people hostage. Like, what are you doing, man?
But I'm having fun.
This
Like,
9-year-old is basically like, fuck these people. They're going to watch me play.
Look, Maggie did set me straight. My wife did set me straight when I told her this at the end of the movie. And she was like, you absolutely missed a piece of dialogue. And I was like, I did not. And now I'm talking to Doug and Marcus. I did miss a piece of dialogue.
You missed a piece
very
of dialogue.
critical piece of dialogue.
Yeah, because it's
It
a conversation between LeBron and his kid after Dom comes down.
Yeah.
And LeBron goes, what are you doing? All of these people cannot leave. And he's like, no, get out of here. Just fun. You remember fun.
This isn't an active hostage situation.
He walks away with his stupid hoodie underneath his jersey that Marcus kept wanting to take off.
Wait, what bothered you about that?
The hoodie underneath his basketball jersey.
So hot.
It bothered the hell out of me because they're actually sweating in this movie, right? They actually have it where people are sweating, and not a few drips. So, like, I'm like, this kid wore this hoodie. Is the Snyderverse cold as hell? Because I just feel like take the damn hoodie off. I don't know why he was just, I mean, that's his
You know
look.
what it is? They have to cool their servers so they don't overheat. So therefore the world is cold.
They need to be cutting you a check, Doug.
Hey, Mr. Freeze was in the audience. I see where we're going with this. Huh? Yeah. So let's get into the game. I hated that.
He's right here too.
Wait, why did you hate the game if you enjoyed the movie?
I enjoyed the movie. Two things can exist. It's Brian Rush. Two things can exist at once.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I understand. I take accountability for saying that.
Here's my thing. I don't like the way that the points were working. It was just too much. It just felt like an excuse to do whatever the fuck you want to do, and in the end, we'll win by 1. Like you mean to tell me you got up to 1,042 points, and that is how y'all decided to do this whole thing? I just felt like that was bullshit. I just did not. I didn't like the idea that I couldn't keep up in a game of basketball. I understand video games operate differently, style points, all that. This is basketball. I feel like even in Space Jam, I was able to keep up a little bit better in what the realistic score was.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is I feel like Looney Tunes does this shit all the time when they try to make a joke about how badly a team is beating another team. They'll run the scoreboard up, and even in the first movie, like with Michael, the Monstars run it up, and a screen pop. Instead of showing the numbers, it goes, "Who's really counting anyway?" Before it shows another score. That's a joke, so it's weird to now say, no, set that aside. This is a world. The video game functions this way. Look, I've never played a sports video game where I'm doing that. Like the only basketball game I ever really played was back when I had a PlayStation, NBA Street. I enjoyed the shit out of that. Brittany always got, and then I played NBA like 2K like 17 when it was the free game for the place. By the way, I made my player like 5'8", and Brittany comes down and watches me play basketball one day, and she goes, "That motherfucker never make it to the NBA," and she just walked out. Like
hilarious.
So in case you don't know that, so Brittany was like, "He's too short. I don't know how he's that good." I'm like, "It's a video game. Calm down."
But Brittany loves basketball though. We should have Brittany come and watch baseball.
That is her. Wow. That is her sport. But yeah, you're right, Marcus. That was hard to follow. Also, I'd really like someone on this podcast to explain to me how something can both be on fire and wet at the same time.
Well, I'll take it from here. If it's a lubricant, KY jelly is also hot and cold.
We're fine.
I mean, all right. Well, you're just missing your blessing.
That's true. That's true. You said KY jelly, and I was like, well, that's okay.
I'm just explaining. You asked me to explain.
That's fair.
I mean, you did ask.
That's true.
I guess
he was hot because he's on fire.
Yeah,
and his shot is wet.
I don't know what
you never heard that phrase before.
Nope.
I don't know.
Oh, if a shot is wet, like you're good at shooting three. It was Klay Thompson,
Right.
And if he's good at shooting threes, him and Steph Curry used to be known as the Splash Brothers.
Yeah,
so like it was raining threes, so he was hot.
Oh, there it is.
Listeners, I just got that. I just connected all of that.
So did I.
Wow.
The basketball talk.
So he's not KY. He's not KY Jelly. He's just happens to be good at basketball.
Look, here's my question. If you're Daffy Duck for the Toon Squad, how are you not being fired as coach when you got Wile E. Coyote on the court with like hundreds of points using ingenuity and innovation? He's on the court doing it, and you take him off, you bench him?
Yeah.
You're going to go coach in Europe for like a year. Get out of here, Daffy.
Ryan, actually, I thought that was another dig at LeBron that he gave himself.
Really?
Honestly, yes, because Daffy Duck was a coach that he was trying to coach LeBron. And I feel like that's a reflection on all coaches that LeBron has ever had. How the fuck do you coach LeBron?
Yeah,
LeBron is the coach, and I just felt like, to me, I thought it was hilarious that Daffy Duck was a coach who's not even coaching, and it's LeBron really giving all the instructions, which is typically how his career.
That's actually a great point.
And I also really liked. There are moments. This is one of those like Looney Tune moments that I liked, was when they bring out Michael B. Jordan.
Oh my gosh, favorite part of the movie.
It zooms in. It zooms onto the clipboard, and it says "Wrong Michael's fight like trade Sylvester." Yeah. I thought that was hysterical to me. So those type of moments I thought were great.
I mean, that got the biggest laugh out of me. They even used his traditional theme song. Like they had me going like it I think it's called Serious. Like I was like, maybe like they had Bill Murray last time. Like maybe true. And then Michael B. Jordan, chef's kiss.
That was
worth it.
Very, very well done. Other things about the game, because we didn't really spend a lot of time on the actual game itself.
I mean,
the characters were good. The villain characters, I did like that. Sorry, Brian, you can go ahead.
No, is this a good time to bring up the background, folks?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you all find them? Doug just put up Mr. Freeze again from Batman and Robin. I can't. For me, I found them incredibly distracting. How did you feel about them?
I felt like I was. Here's what I found hard with this is because there'd be one character that I would want Marcus to see, and I would be like, "No, watch for him. Oh, there he is. Oh, you missed him. Like, oh, look at that guy. Like, it was a lot of this. Like, I was like, you're watching it, and I'd be like, so I'm not really giving a shit like whether who's dribbling or what's going on in the court. I'm like, oh, did you see the guy in the black sweatshirt that just says "goon" across the front? Right. I'm gonna get that sweatshirt. Like, I didn't like all of that. It was a little distracting because I found myself just trying to find the person I was looking for instead of the actual other stuff.
Honestly, I think not to just be the savior for Space Jam.
No, you're fine.
But I do think there's some correlation here for me with this movie and Ready Player One.
Yes, I agree.
With the characters that you see in here, right? And I think the best part of why I've watched Ready Player One so many times is because I want to spot the characters. Yeah. Yes, that basketball scene doesn't come until the end, but there is a part of me that's like, I wonder who else because they had King Kong, Iron Giant, the Bane, the big ones you can see, and then they had a bunch of little characters. Now, it is distracting because it's distracting. Like even in the original Looney Tunes in Space Jams, they were in the stands. These people are like they're playing backyard basketball and are just crowding the damn court.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, remember, this man is standing behind Don Cheadle for the majority of this.
Freeze. He's just as bad as me with that chicken now with this Mr. Freeze thing.
I think
uploaded it.
So my take from this. So Maggie and I, it got so distracting at one point. She was like, "What the F word is this nun from? Like where the hell is this nun from?" And she was asking that like probably 3 times during the game, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." Finished the movie. I logged on to Twitter and people were like, was that really the nun from Devils? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, because the Clown was in there. And
I saw It the Clown.
Yep. And I Googled Devils, and apparently it's this like 70s movie that you cannot buy like on Blu-ray. It's not streaming. Apparently it's incredibly like It's dark. I believe it was rated X at one point in theaters. It's incredibly controversial.
That's the next movie we're watching.
Like
this.
There are some nuns romancing people. Like, this is the first time I've learned about this movie.
What freaky deaky devil shit is this?
And people are gonna be like, "Where'd you learn about devils?" Be like, "Well, I was watching Space Jam: The New Legacy." And
devil sales go through the roof. A unintended consequence of Space Jam: A New Legacy.
I went down a rabbit hole.
Get up, it's time to jam, y'all.
It's provocative material. There is a lot going on there, and I'm just like, was this on purpose? Like, do you want us talking about devils? If so, mission accomplished.
Well, apparently the Clockwork Orange guys were in a corner too.
Yeah.
Which again, that movie is also fucking dark, man. It's not light material. So the fact that they're in a kids movie, Pennywise the clown literally eats children.
Yeah.
So what?
That's not a decision I would have made for a children's movie, but I mean, I'm not WB.
Everybody likes basketball.
Once again, who's the audience? Like, I think
that's a great point.
You're talking about LeBron James. Who's coming to see LeBron?
Yeah,
anybody who's a fan of LeBron, I don't think is a child. Unless they could be young children.
Yeah,
but anybody who's watched LeBron to this point has grown up with LeBron, and so I think they're getting that age limit that is coming and watching him. Just like anybody who grew up with Michael Jordan at the time came and watched Michael Jordan. Now, I absolutely agree with you, gentlemen, that some of these characters that they put in the front row probably could have been pushed to the back. Maybe get the more lighthearted characters watching front row seats.
Right.
But that's just I agree.
But I suppose it's in line. I mean, I guess the one thing, and I don't like to usually give out free passes, but I suppose the one thing is it's like, if the algorithms, if Algae Rhythm is saying like, oh, it doesn't matter if the only thing he's concerned with is making money, like you need villains just like you need heroes. So it's like everything in the universe counts. And I guess in the serververse, there's no good or bad. You just kind of exist there. So
I mean,
I guess.
I have to appreciate the background actors because I'm sure they were hired by an extras service and they're okay, you get to be Pennywise or you get to be Mr. Freeze, and you have to make the most of what you have. So like if I'm the Spirit Halloween Mr. Freeze, you bet I'm gonna use all of my screen time overacting and pointing to stuff because I'm right next to Don Cheadle.
You know how annoying that extra was? That extra for the entirety when that shot's not going, he has no speaking lines, and he's probably in the craft services table being like, freezing winter. I did it. Did you hear me do it? I totally did it.
Like, sir, this isn't a speaking line, right? We don't
just let me do it. You could zoom in. Maybe he says like, that was cool. Like maybe he does some stupid
shit. No, that's not even the right movie, sir. Like, what are you doing?
Please we need you to point and act excited, please.
Yes. Overly excited for this game.
Just go ahead and chill. Like it's just like a fucking asshole about it.
Meanwhile, there's some lady getting dressed up like I'm a nun. Okay, like
what movie is this from? Don't worry about it.
Just put the nun stuff on. Stop asking questions. What I did like was the addition of additional characters like Lil Rel Howery.
Yeah,
I enjoyed him.
Yeah.
So I just feel like him being narrating this whole thing, it just adds a little bit. It added something different to it that you don't really know that you need until you need something to break up the mundane madness of what Brian has accurately called. I do agree. It feels like a fever dream. It's like if you wake up and had jalapeno poppers the night before on top of a greasy
hour
pizza.
and 55-minute fever dream.
It's like you wake up. Imagine having this dream where all of these characters are just surrounding you.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like if you told somebody there was a basketball game and LeBron James was playing, but like Daffy Duck was the coach, but then they stopped the game because Porky Pig was in a rap battle. And then, Don Cheadle's a computer program. Someone be like, do you need to seek medical assistance?
Yeah.
Are you
sick?
okay?
Did you smoke peyote before you went to bed?
What's going on?
I enjoyed it, but like just saying all that sentence out loud makes me.
And I also think it's important that you have someone like Kenny Smith being the other side of that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because he's the one saying, why isn't this basketball? All of us being like, holy shit, the score's like 900-6. What the fuck is happening? And Lil Rel Howery's like, video game rules, remember?
Yeah.
It's not a good answer, but it's as far as like the plot and the overall structure of the movie, you need him there in order to say like, no, this is a video game. Video games are awesome. Like you need him there to like make that point, which I think is smart. I mean, it's tough to say that it worked or didn't, but it's smart.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think one of my favorite things is, I don't know, it feels like we're kind of wrapping things up here.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things that I enjoyed was while Don Cheadle carried about 90 minutes of this movie, the last 10 minutes went to LeBron and the young man who plays LeBron's son.
Yes.
Yep, agreed.
Because they had this moment where even I almost teared up, and I was like, okay, they're having this moment. Got me. And I forgot what the message was, but essentially it was like, you just do you.
Yep.
And it was like, you do you because I love you. And LeBron stopped playing basketball to have this real life conversation with his son.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, I appreciate if everything this fever dream led up to was just this part, I'm kind of satisfied that we got this moment. Once again, my implicit bias is seeing this healthy black father raising his black son.
For sure.
It just exists and it happens on screen without somebody being like, oh, y'all, I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all. I'm bliggity black. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got, you ain't got to force feed it. You know who they are. You know what LeBron stands by.
Yeah.
They never have to mention that in the movie. Nope. But you see that relationship seems like an actual conversation LeBron would have in real life.
Yeah, for sure. Completely
At least agree. I think so. Now I don't know LeBron from a hill of beans. It could come out. His last day story could come out, and he could be an asshole. But I can't see it happening. This just felt more realistic.
I would agree with that. I think this is it's the soul of the movie to the craziness. Like it's the thing that tries to ground all of that ridiculousness in some level of reality of like at the end of the day, this is a father who's saying to his son, I love you and I'm proud of you. And you just need to do you. And it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to be proud of you. And I did appreciate that. I did have a hard time because that was the moment in the theater that my son decided to lick the side of my face.
He did.
I think he had started to get bored. There was a part of me I was like, you do you, but if you do that again, we're gonna have an issue.
But Dad, he just said you do you.
You just said you do you. I said nope, not there.
But what got me was Harrison's laugh after he did it. Like Harrison knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah, he licked me, and then he had this deep, like that deep 4 or 5-year-old belly laugh. Like,
yes,
he knew that he had gotten me, and all I could really do is go like, "Yep, you got me. There it is."
I agree, and that was actually really nice, Marcus. That was I agree. I think that's really healthy to see. I think that's just healthy overall to see. I totally agree. I'm glad you said that.
For sure. Other things, gentlemen, closing thoughts with this particular movie as we start to wind this bad boy out.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot in here.
It is corporate schlock. Like the second half of this movie is just like a Where's Waldo of IPs. There's two things I just want to say. One, if your friend gives you a Game Boy, I don't care how old it is or whatever, please don't throw it in the trash. Whatever you do, please. Also, you can like enjoy basketball and play a Game Boy, and little LeBron just tossed this in the trash, and my heart hurt. I know it's a movie. I know they didn't actually throw away a Game Boy.
Yeah,
real quick about that Game Boy.
Doug.
I don't know what fucking Game Boy that was, where it was a black and white Game Boy, but you were showing a video game in color. So
I've seen the explanation be that it was what he saw. I don't know. It's what Dom saw, or it's what LeBron saw in his head.
Okay.
That's what they're saying on Twitter.
That's deep.
Nope. That's just how I feel. It's just how I feel.
Also, I inappropriately laughed at this movie when Bugs Bunny appeared to die. I need to just say that out loud. I was like, are they really trying to like say Bugs Bunny died in this movie?
And then he comes back and no other motherfucker on the street. This is a busy street. There is literally a crowd of people over there and nobody sees this rabbit.
I told you LeBron was high.
I gotta be honest with you. This movie is, I bet that I would love it if like a deleted scene at the end is just LeBron. Someone's like, LeBron, and they're shaking him awake and he's in like a steam room and it's gotten too hot and he's
with
just
the Lakers,
he's just passed out.
Yeah.
And like, you've been asleep in here for 6 days. He's like, where's Bugs? Like, it's just like that's the deep end. That it's just a fever. It's his dream, and he still has these moments like where he sees the rabbit and he's like, "Oh, where's Elmer?" And they're like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" Like, I just think that'd be very funny to me.
How many King references did they have in this movie?
Holy Lord!
It was a lot of.
You'd be drunk by minute 20.
Down goes the king, or the king's reign is over.
I'm king in this verse.
I didn't drink during this movie, but I could have.
Yeah. It was a lot. LeBron. We know you the damn king.
Yeah, we get it.
Fine. It's your movie, LeBron. It's fine. It's just we are aware. Message received.
We know, guys.
We get it.
We know. So anyway, other things to close us out?
No.
All right.
It is what it is. Enjoy. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I'll say this because I tweeted it. If you haven't seen the movie yet, don't go watching this movie. First of all, it's meant for us, but it's not meant for us. It's something new. Okay, this isn't the original Space Jam, so that's one.
Yes.
The second thing, if you're gonna go into this movie as another reason to compare Michael Jordan and LeBron James, just don't watch the fucking movie. Just don't. It's not meant to be who had the better Space Jam. I just think it's too it talks about the generations. The conversation of GOAT is overrated because the context of time downplays the conversation.
Yeah.
So really, there's a GOAT for everybody. Everybody can know who their of all time player is, and that's fine. But if you're going into this just to like nitpick it and you know what I'm saying, do whatever, we have to do it because we're a podcast and it's entertainment. But like, it is what it is. Like that's subline of films in black and white.
Yeah.
Well, I also feel like it's important to say, though, that like I enjoyed this movie, even though I had my qualms with it. I had a smile on my face the entire time I've been talking about it. And I feel like that is the true value of something like this. Like if you enjoyed yourself, like even if you're like me and you're like, none of this makes sense, but I enjoyed myself. Like, I agree, Marcus.
Yeah. I don't think they went out looking for awards and shit for this movie. I just think they wanted to make something fun.
Yeah.
No. Well, and I think the other thing is like, and I think it's important to kind of really hammer this point home that Marcus made about the comparison. These are apples and oranges. Like the reasons that these characters are motivated are different. The whole central plot line is different. Like, at some point in time, it's going to be like, but it's two big basketball stars playing basketball. There is this story in this one is so much more complex and nuanced. It's just so bright and in your face. It's like trying to get something nuanced from a carnival ride. Like it's hard to have that moment when you're on a roller coaster going like, this is a lot of fun. And the other one is what it is. And I love the other one too. So, but I would never sit here and be like, well, which one had the better Space Jam? They're two different movies and you can't compare them. And like my co-hosts have said, it's fun. Like it is a lot of fun. It's exciting to watch. And that's what you got.
Yeah.
Yep.
So cool. Gentlemen, what do you all have to plug? That was a great review overall. Good job. Applauses all around.
Yeah, if you have HBO Max, watch this. It will be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But gentlemen, we've reached the point in time that we have things that we are going to plug. So Marcus, what do you all have to plug for us this week?
Oh man, I'm so excited. By the time you all hear this, I will have dropped my next project. Until then, this drops Friday. This episode drops Friday. Wednesday, 7/21/21. Until then, we'll be out and available everywhere. It's a project, 7 songs, not gonna take you long. But until then, drops Wednesday. So if you can, go stream it. The link's probably going to be in the bio. It's going to go to my page. We are doing promo as we speak right now. Deep dives into every song, explanations into every song and why I wrote it and my mindset into it. Just a really dope moment for us as a label at Unmatched Records. This is the second project that we've done as a group. And we are just excited. And the Noah store is going to be opening. We have submitted the items that we wanted. And so we will be hearing back this week. And we think that the store will be open next week. So that link is also in the bio.
Fantastic. That is, I'm super excited to listen to that. I'm going to be listening to that as I drive on Wednesday. So
Nice.
Yeah. Brian, what do you have to plug this particular week?
I have thelovenerds.com. Go check that out. You already know we have good buffalo wing sauces there and everything that we bleed. Go check that out. And then also, if you're on TikTok, follow me at Rogue Roush. There's going to be some fun stuff coming up. I can't talk about it yet. Yes, I'm going to be that guy, but there's some fun stuff coming up. Doug and Marcus might know about it. So stay tuned or follow me on TikTok to find out what that is.
Can we get like a one-word hint of the fun stuff coming up?
Ooh, one-word hint of the fun stuff coming up. I'm going to say it's hyper.
That is super exciting.
And I just,
it is. He's back again.
You putting up Mr. Freeze as y'all are hyping me is something I will remember. But shout out to these two guys. They have supported me so much, by the way, and I just want to give them a shout out as I've been doing stuff on TikTok. They are always my cheerleaders with this stuff, so I just want to give them a shout out.
And always will be.
Absolutely accurate. The only thing that I have to plug is this podcast. So if you enjoy listening to us, you'll enjoy watching us because there's so much more. Why would you want to miss out on all the random pictures of Mr. Freeze that come through? That's your loss. So
you fucked that up. You did that.
Right, yeah. So sign up for the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/filmsinblackandwhite. Sign up for a tier there. Also, just to be honest, if that's not in your wheelhouse and you can't financially support us at this point, just sharing us with your friends is always a great way to support us. So any type of love you can send our way is fantastic. Gentlemen, we have a 3-step process to success. So Brian, what is the first step to this process?
Hey everybody, it's Brian Roush from Films in Black and White, and I'm here today to tell you to read a book. Please, any book, anything that you don't know about. Maybe you have a favorite book and you can just read it again. Anything you might not know about. Marcus is pulling up some great books that you can use to educate yourself, and you're gonna feel better. You're gonna know something, and it's gonna help pretty much everybody around you. Please read a book.
Absolutely. And also, audiobooks are books. I just finished Alphabet Squadron, listening to that, and it was awesome. Listening to books also counts as reading. So if you are in a car and you're busy, just listen too. Doesn't matter. You can get it in however you need to.
Don't take that ableist type crap from anybody. And consuming a book anyway, whether you're listening to it or using your eyes, you're reading a book. So don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise.
Absolutely. Marcus, what is the second step to success here for us at Films in Black and White?
Listen to my album Until Then when it drops.
That is not the second test.
My bad. But seriously, you are going to have to drink some water. We are at the peak of summer. Now, for those of us working in higher education, we are on a downhill. It's a downhill ride at this point. Because like after the 4th of July, you get right back into the students are coming back. And so, you know, for us, that's happening. But right now, as of right now, at this moment, we're at the peak of summer, 100-something degrees outside. Still better than snow, but you got to drink your water. You got to treat yourself to some water. I had some water today from Starbucks. Shout out to Starbucks. I had some water today from Starbucks. It was terrible. Terrible bottled water. But I had some, I treated myself to some nice bottled water from Casey's. Shout out to Casey's. And it was a Fiji water. It was phenomenal. So it does matter what water you drink. You know what I mean? And if you can't get your hands on any water, do what my mama says. Drink your spit.
Okay. All right, I'm caught off guard by that, but we're gonna leave that there. So the third step is to just wash your ass. So however you decide to do that, there needs to be two things present: some kind of soap and some type of cloth between your hand and your ass. So just whatever you gotta do to do it. If you gotta Irish Spring it, if you gotta just bar soap it, whatever you gotta do, just wash your ass, because being in the middle of summer, sweat moves. This is gravity, man. It moves from top to bottom. It's gonna flow that direction. So just do what you got to do.
And find the soap that works for your ass. Everybody's got different types of skin. You know what I mean? So you got to find the one that works for you, because it makes no sense to keep using soap that don't work for you. That means you're not really getting clean. Your ass ain't really getting clean. So find the soap that works for you.
Absolutely. Well, that has been our show. Thank you for listening to a special episode where we covered Space Jam: A New Legacy. We will be back next week to cover some news as well as some recommendations on what we're reading and what we are watching. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will catch y'all next week.
Yep.